Good day, everybody, and we are going to have a short lesson on performing mathematical operations. Now, we all recognize that computer program is supposed to perform some computation, so it must do that, and it has to use some mathematical operators, and that's why we are talking about operators right here. So the first thing that we are going to talk about is a mathematical operator. And so an operator is, I'll call it something like an element that works on expressions or operands, and it manipulates the data that is fed into it, more especially when it comes to numeric data type. So that's why we call it um, a mathematical operator. So it's computing mathematics. And we are going to learn how to write a code that performs this operation. Now we can say this that in Visual Basic 2017 we can write code to instruct the computer to perform mathematical operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and many other kinds of mathematical operations. So that's very important. We are going to learn here that we have operators which are going to help us do that. They are mathematical operators. And in this case, we are saying that the mathematical operators are remarkably like the normal arithmetic operators with only some slight variations. And we have them right here. We have the addition, we have the subtraction, we have the exponent. Now that's very important. It's a caret. This element is known as a caret. It's like a 3 squared in this case. So if you want to square something, you will use this caret. And then we have the multiplication, which is an asterisk. Then the division, we have it here as this bar. And then we have the modulus, of course, which returns the remainder of or in an integer division. And then finally we have an integer division. Now we have this, and this is just the normal division. This is an integer division, and you need to note here that it will discard the decimal places. Now these are the mathematical operators. So the mathematical operators are going to help us to perform some bit of mathematics. Now maybe to be quite uh, deep a little bit. We have in programming what we call as relational operators, and these relational operators are also very important, more especially when it means that we want to relate between two operands. For example, we have one value here, you want to check whether it's greater or smaller or equal to another value, and we'll get that one when we'll be looking at the BMI calculator. For example, we know that we have some rules, and for example, for somebody, for an underweight, it's supposed to be equal or less than 18.5. So that's a relational operator, which is very important. We're going to get to know that one. So let's go back to where we were. So when you're writing code, it's very important for us to note that these arithmetic operators are used more or less like we use them on book and paper. Now, for example, here we are trying to perform standard arithmetic calculations, and that is addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. And here we have two numbers. Now dim, we are a variable for first number one, num1, and num2, and number 2. And now we also want to have a variable by the name difference, product, quotient, and all these variables are of this type, which is called a single. So num1, num2 will go through this text box, and then for the sum, we'll have them being added. For the difference, subtraction. For the product is multiplication. For the quotient, which is like division. We're going to divide it here, and then we are going to have this label LBL sum.text, which is going to show us the sum, LBL diff the text, which is going to show the difference, and LBL pro the product, LBLQT the quotient. And we know that once these operations are done, the values are stored in these variables. Now, these variables again will assign their content into these labels. So assignment from this variable into this. Assignment from again this variable into this. And that is what we are going to do. So after that, we'll have maybe a program that will work on these programs, and the one that is going to help us see that for sure uh, all the mathematical operators are working very well. Next, we have this what we call as the Pythagorean Theorem. C squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, and now you can see it being displayed here. So this is c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, and then if, for example, you have a button and you have this program somewhere, it will mean that all the contents of A will go in through one text box and B will go in through another text box. And here is what I want us to understand is that C, the value of C, is going to be A squared plus B squared, and this is the square root of, let's say, the C squared. So for us to get the square root of C squared, we can get the exponential of the half of this value. So the exponent, something raised to a half or 1/2 or a fraction. Now, of course, you know what usually happens. So in this case, we'll get the square root and then we'll have the value here. Actually, I somewhat did it here. We have dim and then we have all this A, B, and C as singular. Now we have text box A getting its value, the variable A getting its value from text box 1, the text, and the B getting its value from text box 2, the text, and then this is that expression that we're seeing there. So C is equals to A squared plus B squared, and then the square root. That is what happened. And on the former, actually, it is just right here. This is the button, and this is text box 1. As you can see it right here, text box 1, and then when I click here, this text box 2, and then this is the label. I just wrote answer just to, and then just to show us the answer. So for example, if I run now this, and then I put in the values there, okay, if A is and B is 3, so C is supposed to be around this figure, and you can see it's a single. So that's actually how it can be done. So what actually is happening here is that we are using this type of data type, and we are using these variables, these 3 variables, and we are also using these controls to show our information there. Now that's very important. Now maybe we need to try quite fast. These are the programmer that tries to measure the BMI. So the BMI calculator was saying that nowadays you need to have a weight and a height that is proportional, and this calculator would help us know whether you're disproportional, whether you're overweight or underweight, or whether you need to do something. And this we've seen it in the streets when we walk. When we walk along the streets, you see so many people having these machines. You pay some little money, they'll measure your weight and your height, and then they will tell you, no, you're doing well, you're not doing well, etc. So this is the program that actually does that, and you can quite easily make that system for yourself. So it says like this: you can refer to the following range of BMI values for your weight status. For an underweight, it's 18 is equals to or less than 18.5. For normal, this is the range. the BMI range between 18.5 to 24.9. That's the normal weight. If you're overweight, then it's 25 to 29.9. And if you're obese, then your BMI is greater than 30. So that these are actually the conditions, and these conditions are need to be met. And for example, they're saying here that the BMI calculator is a visual basic program that can calculate the BMI of a person based on the body weight in kilograms and the body weight or height in meters. And BMI can be calculated using the formula weight divided by height squared. And in this case, weight is in kgs and height is in meters. So let's say I'm 70, just that's fine, kgs, and then my height is 1.6. So it's 70 over 1.6 squared. So that's uh, roughly what this system is supposed to do. And so you can design it quite easily. You have a place for your height, for your weight, and your BMI is going to display somewhere there. That should be quite easy for us to do, and I would let you people do it yourself. But then maybe later on, if there's any query, I can help you do it. Otherwise, thank you.